living, growing human organs grown from your own cells. I saw skin, bone, cartilage, noses, ears, heart valves, a complete bladder. The first windpipe was grown last year. And get this, in the next 5 years, we will grow the first liver. So for all you alcoholics out there in the audience, there's still hope. And I saw the first pancreas being grown. You know, Steve Jobs did not have to die. We will have mastered this technology, and in the future, we will grow every single organ of the body except the brain, and even for the brain, there's still hope for you out there. We will inject brain cells directly into the brain, stem cells, in order to rejuvenate brain tissue. In the future, we will have a human body shop. Just like we order parts and fenders and engines, we will grow human organs, and no one will ever die of organ failure in the future.
Wow. And any of the prophets that you know of, who inspired you the most?
Well, first of all, I like Arthur C. Clarke's famous statement. It's my motto, and that is, magic is any sufficiently advanced technology. And when one of my friends saw Harry Potter the other day, he said to himself, I can see how physicists will one day create everything in Harry Potter. But my favorite science fiction writer is Isaac Asimov, who wrote, I think, the greatest science fiction novel of all time. What is that? The Foundation Trilogy. It takes you 50,000 years into the future. And so when some of my physicist friends think about flying saucers and UFOs, they say, bah, humbug. No one can possibly reach us from the stars. But that's because their imagination is limited to the next 100 years. In 100 years, yes, we will not go to the stars in the next 100 years. But in 50,000 years, new laws of physics open up. And that's what we have to learn from science fiction. Many scientists learn from science fiction. Carl Sagan. Why did he become Carl Sagan? Because he read John Carter of Mars as a child. And he dreamed of chasing the beautiful Deja Thors over the sands of Mars. And Hubble, Edwin Hubble, the greatest astronomer of the 20th century. He became an astronomer and discovered the expanding universe by reading Jules Verne. And that's the debt that all science owes to science fiction. The only limit is our imagination.
I love that. And that's the hardest thing. Space travel and organs. What do you see that is? What do you see that is science fiction today that tomorrow's going to be science fact?
When I see episodes of Star Trek, I realize that we already have a lot of that today. Our cell phones, computers we can talk to. But there's some episodes where we encounter beings that can move objects with their mind. Telekinesis, the power of a god. What happens if we land on a planet and meet Apollo? We will have this power in the coming decades. We physicists are already beginning to decipher the outlines of human thought in the brain and able to carry out our wishes using robotics. In Japan, we've already connected a worker to the robot Asimo. So just like in the movie Avatar, we are able to control a robot mentally. So I think in the coming decades, we will have that power seen in Star Trek. The ability to use our mind to move objects around us. The power of telekinesis, the power of a god.
So please, everybody, write down your questions, because we're going to save time. If you have questions for him, I can listen to him speak all day long. Save them, and at the end, we invite you to come up to the mic to ask questions. So from science fiction, we're going to move on to the home of where the most bizarre, the strange, and the weirdest objects live. And guess what? It's right here in New York. So the Science Channel, yeah, somewhere else. The Science Channel hit series Oddities takes us into this wonderful, wonderful East Village antique store called Obscura, where the weird is welcome every day, and we love to explore the science behind objects. Let's take a look.
customer came in looking for carnival and sideshow related items. It turns out that he's actually a performer.
You're not going to eat that, are you?
Sure.
Everybody just eat it already.
Science owns weird. And it all started with one eccentric hit series.
For a cow for a kitty.
That's really sweet. It's actually called Cyclopia.
Oddities,
This thing is so strange, I just have to have it.
where the thrill of the hunt
What is that? This was fossil, it would be solid rock.
can be its own reward.
If it's old and weird, I like it.
Oddities, only on Science.
And Ryan Matthews. With these guys are some of my favorites because you just never know what they're going to show up with from the shop. So, Mike, what is in your hand?
This, which looks like some sort of naughty paddle, is actually a slapstick. Everyone's heard of slapstick comedy. This is the piece where it comes from. The way this would work is this piece comes off a .32 caliber blank cartridge you put in here in a small pin here. You put that on there, and then at a sideshow, at a carnival, vaudeville, or fraternal lodge, a perhaps dwarf clown or someone would come up to you and hit you, and boom, it would explode and scare the pants off you. Hilarity would ensue. That's a slapstick. This one dates about a turn of the century.
Wow. So the new season's going to premiere on December 17th. No one's seen a clip. We're going to show you a sneak peek from one of the scenes of the new season starting on December 17th. Take a look.
Hey Kevin, how you doing?
Good. How you been, Mike?
Good.
I've known Mike for quite a few years. We've dealt in the past. I came across something that you might like. I'm an artist and collector. I have a piece that I know Mike and Evan would love to have in the store. Got this years ago from an old carny. Do you like bacon?
No, but... Oh, man. A two-faced pig. What a cutie. Oh, man, just heads and more heads. That's really pretty sweet.
Something you might be interested in?
That's something I might be interested in. Yeah, that's great. It's really quite beautiful. A two-faced pig is actually quite rare. They pop up now and then, but they're really highly sought after in the collecting community.
I would say it's probably at least 50 years old.
Doesn't have an odor or anything. No insect damage?
No, nothing.
Yeah, that's odd. Freeze dried, you think, or?
I'm not sure. It's a very old piece. I'm not.
So it looks like there's a
sure.
cut here, and it looks like there's a little bit of glue here.
It looks almost like it was freeze dried the way the mouth does.
Oh, actually, the holes here,
Yeah.
those are pins for freeze drying. They position the animal in place, and they just use the pins to keep them all where it's supposed to be. They would take the organs out, but they leave all the meat in there, then they freeze them.
And if you take your tongue and touch it, it's got a salty taste.
Oh, I'll trust you on that
We were all really relieved you didn't lick the pig.
Yeah.
That's not. All right. So Evan, what's in your hand?
This is a prosthetic arm. It dates to about 1919. Beautifully machined. If you could open this panel here, you'd see it's beautifully articulated. All the fingers operate independently. The wearer would connect this to a piece on their shoulder, and when they reach forward, the hand actually closed, open and closed. Very simple mechanism. The beauty of this, and we get a lot of prosthetics in the shop. This one, again, dates from the end of World War I. This technology was perfected over centuries, basically for people who lost limbs in war. So there's a very interesting history. I'm guessing that's what this one is for, to this date. But also, a lot of things we have in Obscura, it's uncanny. Uncanny is something that straddles life and death. human and not human. And when you see a hand sort of operating by itself, people think it's awful, and they just have to have it. So that's what this is, a piece of amazing old uncanny technology.
Hey, Evan, is there anything that you see that's like the hot item? What is the category of items that just fly off the shelves?
Fly off the shelves. People are very fond of, the hoodwinks. We sell a lot of taxidermy, but people really love teeth.
They love teeth.
I think we sell more teeth than anything else. Everyone needs teeth. Human teeth, but human teeth, of course.
Thank goodness for that. Ryan, what's the strangest, weirdest object you sold at the shop?
It's hard to just put that into one item. We have a lot of interesting, bizarre, and otherwise. I'd say one of the more interesting ones that I sold was a Peruvian elongated skull, which actually had some of the skin still intact. So it was also mummified. But what someone had done was electrify it. So it was turned into a lamp. It had, the shade and everything, and then the eyes lit up when you plugged it in. We've had other things, like people have tried to sell us objects that we didn't necessarily buy. There was a mummified corn dog from a 1982 Van Halen concert. They wanted like $3,000.
Is there any object you guys said, no, thank you, we're not buying?
Besides that one.
Someone brought in a mummified head that he said his father had picked up at a hospital in Egypt. He came in very late one night. I was there with a friend, and he unwrapped the head, and it was not Egyptian, and it was not fully mummified. It was very old. And there was a metallic scent that filled the store. Horrible, everyone got horrible headache. He said he didn't want to keep it. Would we consider purchasing it? I sent him to one of our experts. But we get a lot of amazing things in, but that nothing phases me. That head was absolutely nightmarish. So we do have a certain standard.
People come in with things in jars that are questionable because you can't quite even tell what's inside of it. I mean, they'll be so murky after sitting on the shelves for 100 years.
So as we shoot a lot of different objects, and there are some, believe it or not, that we can't put on TV. They're either too gross, too hot, and so they sit there. So one of the ideas we had is we wanted to bring you a clip, no one's seen, we didn't put it on TV because I have 2 boys, I'm terrified they're going to try this at home. So here's a clip of one of the scenes of the program that you will not see in season 3. Woo.
What I'm really trying to find is something I could use in my show.
What is it that you do?
Well, I'm a sideshow performer. I used to work in a carnival sideshow, and my signature stunt was putting hooks into my eyes.
No way!
So these are my hooks right here.
Oh, shit.
Alright, so you ready for this?
I'm not watching this either. I can't see this. I can't watch this either. Linda, tell me when it's done.
I'll make it.
I don't care.
That was really funny.
Well, if you think this looks funny, just imagine how this must look to people in the crowd when I go.
Oh!
If you want a picture, take it now.
Is it done? Yeah, it's done. Wasn't as nasty as I could imagine.
So a reminder for those of you, save your questions, and also at 4:15 these guys are going to be signing autographs, so if you're a fan of the show you might want to join us for that. So from the bizarre to the iconic, this is a 2-hour special I'm so proud to be a part of. We met Rod Roddenberry